Welcome to the Find Creative Expression podcast, conversations about art and creativity. I'm your host, Sarah Crawford, author, musician, and playwright. You can find the show notes and other information at findcreativeexpression.com. And let's get going. Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of the Find Creative Expression podcast. Coming up a little bit later, I'm going to have an interview with my good friend, musician and artist, Lulu Wood. We always have a blast when we talk to each other, so I'm super excited about that. So, what's going on with me? This past weekend, I participated in the AuthorTube virtual writing retreat. That is, a group of us writers on YouTube. We're called AuthorTubers. And that was a lot of fun. There was a lot of really great content. I'm still watching some of it. I didn't get to watch everything live. I participated in a panel about traditional publishing and then a different panel about self-publishing. So that was kind of interesting. And then I had a workshop on my channel that was all about social media for authors. So you can go check that out if you are interested. As far as with my actual writing, I've had a really busy week at the day job. Of course, it's only Tuesday as I record this. There's just been a lot of stuff that I've had to do. It's been really busy. So, this morning, I did not have the energy to get up early and write. And then by the end of the day, I was in Zoom meetings from, almost nonstop from like noon until 5:30. So by the end of that, I didn't have any energy whatsoever. And I felt kind of bad about that. And then where I am with my novel that I'm working on right now, which is the sequel to my vampire novel, I've kind of gotten to this point in the story where I'm a little bit stalled out. Don't exactly know what's going to happen. I have a vague idea of the ending, but I'm not entirely sure how to get there. So I really need to sit down maybe this weekend and really kind of plot the rest of it out. I'm kind of a plot as you go type of person. So, I'm not really a plotter. I'm much more of a pantser, which means I fly by the seat of my pants and I, kind of discover the story as I'm writing it, a lot of it. But, throughout the writing process, I will kind of outline the next few chapters or, make a reverse outline of everything that's happened so far. So I do use outlines in that way. But, I was sitting here, I was kind of beating myself up because I just have not had the energy to write that much this week. It's only Tuesday. But yesterday I only wrote like 400 words, and then today I didn't write anything. So, I was kind of beating myself up about that. And that got me thinking, I give people advice all the time, like other writers and, other creative people, that I do not follow myself. I'm constantly saying things like, oh, every writer, has their own pace, or like, cut yourself some slack. And then when I try to do that, I kind of beat myself up about it. So I'm going to try not to do that. I've also been feeling a lot of anxiety about my Patreon. For those of you who don't know, Patreon is a website where people can support artists and, creators of podcasts and other content for, as little as $1 a month. But the idea is, if you get a lot of patrons and they all do $1 a month, then, that could add up. Amanda Palmer is somebody who's really had success with Patreon. Myself, I have donated to a lot of my favorite artists and podcasts on Patreon. So I started a Patreon maybe in like April of last year, but then, I never had any patrons. So I shut it down and then I revamped it when I started this podcast because, most podcasts have a Patreon. All this content that I'm constantly creating, I mean, it does take a lot of time and sometimes a little bit of money. So I started a Patreon, where people could support the content if they wanted to. And I have a patron, which I am immensely grateful for. But, there's that anxiety that comes with even asking people for anything. Amanda Palmer, she has a book called The Art of Asking, where, she talks all about, artists basically asking people to support them. So, I'm trying to think of the Patreon as a sort of virtual tip jar, but it still gives me a lot of anxiety to basically ask people to help support me, which is yet another area where I would give someone else the advice of like, oh, that's really great that you're putting your hat out and asking for help, but I can't take my own advice. So I don't really have any solutions for all of this today. I just kind of thought I would tell you where I am and what's going on with me as a creative person. All right, well, that's enough of that. Let's go ahead and get into the interview. Hey, everyone. I am here today with Lulu Wood. Lulu is a musician and an artist living in Seattle, Washington. She has a BFA in mixed media and sculpture with a minor in art history from Western Washington University. By day, she works as a grant analyst at the University of Washington, and she is a singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and artist. Welcome, Lulu.
Oh, hello. Thanks for having me.
And we tend to just laugh for no reason, so, expect some of that.
Yeah, be prepared for that. Mm-hmm. It's true. It's true.
Okay, so when did you start painting and creating art? How did you fall in love with it?
That's a good question. I've been like an artist since I was very little. I can remember my first sensation ever was like this paper mache tiger fish that I made my mom. And she like hung it up in her office and people like talked about it at the advertising company like every day. And it became like this famous thing. And like even people I met like years later would mention this paper mache tiger fish to me. They'd be like, hey, you're the one who made that thing. It was pretty great.
That is awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. But I mean, I've been making art since I was little. I think one of the big kind of motivators for making art was that I had like some anger issues when I was younger, and my mom, she had like this great advice to like paint my feelings. And it's like I'm still doing that today. I'm still like painting my feelings out.
Right.
And like, using art as like this emotional outlet.
Well, I mean, it must have worked because you're like the least angry person I know.
It really does. I mean, making art and music is kind of like these very therapeutic things. I feel like I'm kind of blessed in having those sort of ways to express myself, because it's like, you know how it is. It's like art's always there for you.
Yeah, exactly. So
Sure.
speaking of music, when did you start playing music and writing songs, and how did you fall in love with that?
Let's see. I've been I played clarinet and sax in middle school and high school. Like, so I've been playing, instruments since like 6th grade, or like the recorder. Like everyone plays the recorder.
Oh, yeah. Hot cross buns.
I was really good at that. And if I ever find a recorder, I will totally just whip out some hot cross buns for you. It's just like natural.
I feel like we could do like a remix. It would be really cool.
Oh, okay. Yeah. If it was like a remix and then we had some accordion in there as well. Yes, I'm getting where this is going.
Yeah, I feel like this is a good idea.
It's true. I'm mostly self-taught. I've been playing the piano since I was 15, and that's because I got it as like a birthday present. And I've been composing songs ever since then. Like even the first song that I ever wrote for the piano, I still play a variation of it to this day. It's like one of my favorite things. Like I love that song so much, and it's changed with me. You know what I mean? Like, but it's kind of, like I do play a bunch of instruments, so I've
which goes into my next question. You play 11 different instruments, including the piano, accordion, banjo, ukulele, and the clarinet. So what's your favorite instrument to play?
Oh, you've never heard this one before?
I don't think we've ever like really discussed what your favorite instrument is to play.
Okay. All right. I have this thing that I tell everybody. And it's that the piano is my first love, but the accordion is my main squeeze. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I figured you were going to say accordion. Yeah.
I mean, the piano and I feel like I can just like sit down at the piano and just like make shit up on the fly. You know what I mean? Like I don't really have to think about it that much.
Right.
Accordion, there's a lot more composition that has to take place, before I can just like start making stuff up.
Right. The accordion, I feel like is not a very just like play it organically kind of instrument.
I mean, you can, you know what I mean? But it's still, it can sound bad.
But then I remember, one time we were walking through like the park somewhere in Seattle and you were just playing, like improvising. It was great.
Oh, I know. I had the little baby accordion.
It was
concertina. Yeah, that was the Arboretum. I remember. And you have a video of that. And it's just us laughing and me play.
Yeah, it's very, very us,
It really is. It's just like us laughing and me playing accordion. You know how we do.
Exactly. So you have a day job as a grant analyst. How do you balance your art and creativity with your day job?
Well, I feel like I'm very lucky that I've been able to work from home during these trying times. So it's made it a lot easier for me to kind of incorporate music and art making into my daily life. Like I can just take a break and go sit down at the keyboard and sing a couple songs. And like that's something I do, once or twice a day. It's like this, it's become like sort of like a routine. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or it's like, there's always some sort of art project that's happening that I can see and I'm like always thinking about it. So I feel like that's kind of been interesting to be able to work and then also play music.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've because I've been working from home this whole time too. And I've found, just the time you save in commuting is enough to like put more art into your life,
Yeah. And you started playing you started playing music again.
I did.
And you did that living room show, and that was so cool.
Yeah, I don't know that I would have started playing music again had it not been, for this time, and the pandemic, really.
Yeah, that we were kind of inspiring each other to start making music again.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, you've definitely been a big inspiration for me.
You too.
Oh, so how has your day job, helped you to be more creative in any way? Like does it help you to, take breaks and sit down at the keyboard? Do you feel like more creative?
So, I mean, one of the reasons why I did take this sort of grant management job was because I eventually want to get more experience with grant writing. The end goal is to be able to write grants for myself and for my friends who have creative projects that need funding. And that's sort of like how I've incorporated my day job into like, something for my artistic self as well. That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense.
But yeah, I mean, it's awesome being able to just like go play piano whenever I want.
Yeah, it is definitely a good thing. Yeah, when I was working at the office, I used to like take little journal breaks, like just goes in the break room and write in my journal for like 10 minutes. And now like, I can just pick up the guitar for 10 minutes or, still write in my journal, but on my couch. Like it's good.
So much better.
So, you studied mixed media and sculpture at Western Washington University. Have you done any installation art since you graduated?
Well, I haven't worked on any of my own art installations. I've worked on other artists, like help them build things.
Right.
Which is like gaining experience too in the whole, like, how to make art installations. I am working, or I guess pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, I was working on this collaboration project with my friend Alex. And they have like this lights festival that happens, it used to happen like every other month in a park in Seattle called Volunteer. And the light festival is called Luzzo. And it's like, you can kind of like ask for money for projects if you have a good enough idea. And then they have like 20 or 30 different light sculptures that go up on like a weekend, and it's super cool. But we wanted to do like a large public interactive kind of installation that incorporated light and movement and music.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of, it's like hard to think about, but then I feel like I'm getting closer to kind of figuring out like the electronic aspect of it, because it's going to be like sensors on the ground, and then there'll be like this large projector up, and then basically when people are like walking over the sensors, there'll be some sort of image or sound that will be created.
Right.
So there'll be like a some sort of movement on the projector followed with like some sound. And so, like, you can, it'll be, like, random, and people will hopefully notice it when they're walking by. But it's about, creating, like, these visual soundscapes is what we're calling.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about this, but really installation art is kind of, something that has had to be put on pause, as well as like theater and live music and any kind of art that like requires people to gather in any sort of way,
It's true. I missed it. I miss it so much. Miss like going to art functions.
Yeah.
Live music.
Yeah, I miss live music. I really, really miss live music. Okay, so speaking of music, you often busk with your accordion, and you were even a professional busker in the Pike Street Market in Seattle. So what is the experience of being a busker like?
Well, the experience of being a busker, I mean, I think it's different for everybody. I love busking. There's something about that like pure kind of like unique thing that comes from playing music for strangers, you know, and having them, you know, you can see the expressions on their face. Like they have no reason to lie to you. And so when they're like happy and they're like dancing and they're like really into the things that you're making, it's like this very joyfulness that's addicting. You know what I mean? It's like, I want to have those interactions with people. I love that sort of, you know, creating a joy, creating happiness and like spreading it.
Right.
And I feel like busking gave me a lot of confidence in my own performance and songwriting skills. It's like, okay, you know, I do have songs that people want to hear and that they're really into, you know, and that kind of makes you want to keep doing it.
Right. Do you find it difficult to kind of like put out a hat or, you know, pretty much ask for tips like that? I mean, I've tried to busk like once and that was like really uncomfortable for me to like pretty much be like asking people to give me money, which which when it's reversed, like I'm happy to give people money who are playing music on the street, you know? So I was wondering, you know, if you had kind of the same experience of, you know, having difficulty with that.
You know, I thought I was going to have difficulty with it, but then when I got my first dollar, it like changed me. I was like, oh. I was like all about it then. I was like, yeah, you're going to pay me for my songs. But the one thing that I would get upset about busking is people would take photos of me and then not tip me, you know? Right. And I was like, hey, like I was looking cute playing accordion, you know, and they're going to take a photo, then I would like to get paid for that. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like you're paying for the experience. But like, you know, one of my favorite things about busking and that kind of like money exchange is like single dads with kids, right? Are my biggest money makers because it's like once you have one kid dancing, you'll have like 10 kids dancing, and then they all think it's so cute to give them money to put into the hat. It's like perfect.
So you just like learn a lot of kids songs and like start playing like the Itsy Bitsy Spider and
I can do the Itsy Bitsy Spider and I know like some lullaby songs, but mostly they're into my polka songs, the ones that are like dancey. Oh, like they want to dance. Like it's like a dance party. With a bunch of kids, they're like about it. Yeah, I miss that. That's like one of my favorite things.
Yeah, that is like, you know, something cool about Seattle. The Pike Street Market is just, it's a great place for musicians or, you know, artists to busk or to share their art. Yeah. Like, I feel like we don't really have that here in Atlanta. I mean, we have Little 5 Points, which like there are some people doing that, but it's, you know, it's not really the same. Yeah, that is, I mean, I guess like Decatur is maybe a little bit, there's people playing music in the square or whatever. I know what you mean though. The market is very unique to Seattle, and I feel like it was kind of the first place that I felt like I belonged, where I like found community. Mm-hmm. And people that were, you know, I was inspired to busk because other people were doing it that I was like, you know, they were like my mentors, basically. I was like, oh my God, you're amazing. And you're out here playing music for free? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like that. Well, that kind of leads into my next question. So, you know, you're friends with a lot of artists and creative people in Seattle and, you know, all over the country, really. But how important is it for you to be in an artistic community?
It's very important. I've definitely worked very hard to find my, you know, tribe in Seattle and kind of expand my community out and supporting local artists, and then, you know, having my friends meet each other and then collaborate on projects. Like, that's like so cool when that happens. Right. Yeah. That's like, you know, I feel like I've kind of living the dream with that sense, where I have like, you know, all these artistic friends and musicians, and we're all like making art and trying to support each other.
Right. Yeah. How many accordion players do you know? I feel like you know a lot of accordion players.
You mean like in Seattle or like ever? 'Cause that's a lot.
Just in Seattle, how many do you know?
I'm gonna say probably 20, maybe 25.
You know 25 accordion players in Seattle?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even think there were 25 accordion players in Seattle.
You know, it's very, it's kind of interesting. Well, also because you know, playing accordion on the street, other accordion players will approach you, right? They'll be like, "You're playing accordion, I play accordion," and then we have like a moment.
Right.
Yeah, I'm really good at making friends like on the street corner. That's like one of my skills.
Oh yeah, because I mean, you'll just like talk to anybody. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it is definitely a skill that I have. I can just kind of, you know, make friends with just about anyone. But, you know, we do kind of stick together, the accordionists. I helped put together this accordion fest where we had like people from California and from Canada come down and play, and it was like a fantastic house show. So it's just, you know, when we need to get together, accordions come through.
Yeah, I remember going to like a party at your house like 4 years ago when I was in Seattle, and there were multiple accordion players at the party, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, there was at least 6 at the party.
You guys must just all stick together, I guess.
Yeah, well, like whenever we see somebody new, we're like, "Have you seen that one? Who's that? That new accordion player?"
Like you have like a secret database.
Oh, well, yeah, you know, I guess a punk database of accordionists, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, "Oh, you, yeah." We all travel the farmer market.
Right.
We're all in the markets. That's how we do.
Awesome. So, what are you working on right now?
Oh, well, I've written, 4 new songs, in the past couple months. And then, and I have a couple of those up on my Bandcamp. And then I've also been reworking old projects and finishing them. That's been kind of the theme for 2020, is to like get stuff done. So one of the things that I did recently was this collage that was like a bunch of like old projects that were like pieces of it, and I put it together, and it was like the first piece of art I've made just for me. I've been going through like this make and then giveaway kind of phase where I've just been giving my art away. So that was really awesome to like make this kind of multimedia piece. I really like that. And then I'm doing these watercolor galaxies and nebulas with metallic paint on black paper. And that's my next big series that I'm doing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I was supposed to have an art show in October, but that's not going to happen.
Aw. I feel like there's a way they could do art shows like, and you know, and just have like one person in the gallery like at a time or something. I don't know. I feel like there's a way you could do that.
Yeah.
Social distancing.
Can you imagine if like how hip it would be if you had to like have a line to get into an art gallery? Like, oh yeah, so
that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, most of the time as an artist of any kind, you're like, hey, you know, people pay attention to my work. And so it would be nice if, you know, there's a line, like people walk by and they're like, oh, you know, they must be important.
Exactly. Should I get in that line? But hopefully in 2021, I'll be able to have this art show where I'm going to be showcasing all these watercolor paintings that I'm doing.
Right.
So those are the new things, new projects.
Cool. Awesome. So what books or TV shows, movies, music, etc. are you really into right now?
Ooh. So artist, I'm going to say Emily Carr. I went to Vancouver with Christopher back in February, and we saw her exhibit at the Vancouver Art Museum, and it was amazing. And I just fell in love with her big tree paintings. And then there's another local artist in Seattle named Maury Diakite, and he does amazing watercolor paintings. Like,
oh, cool.
I'm just like in love with it. Yeah. And then music, I'm gonna throw out Tom Rosenthal has saved my life this year. He's so happy and amazing, and I just love his music. And then I'm reading your book, Time After Time. What? Which I love reading. One reason why I love reading your books is because it's like I'm in your head for a period of time, or you're in my head. I don't know. It's like weird. It's like the way you write. I'm like, oh, I miss Sarah.
Right. I was listening to it was like a podcast. I don't remember what it was, but they were talking about how writers, like people that read our books, kind of know us better than, people that are close to us in a way, because they've seen inside of our heads,
Yeah.
It's like a whole.
I'm into it.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh no! We reached that part.
No, we're just laughing. So I've got kind of a big question coming up.
Oh no!
Yeah, no, it's good though. So why do you think art is important?
Let's see. Well, art is life, right? Like everything is art,
right?
And how could it not be important? Because it's in everything. I guess there's like this, it's important because of how it connects us to ourselves and to others in like, multitudes of ways, and I don't know, like makes you like think differently about the world and opens, I don't know, it's like you can see possibilities that weren't there before.
Right.
There's no limit with art.
Right.
And that's why it's so important.
I mean, it really gives you an understanding of other people's perspectives, I think. I mean, yeah. Not that I'm supposed to be answering my own question, but
well, it's true. It's like it's kind of about the illustrating or being a part of like the human experience, and all the wonder of it, and the whimsy and the destruction and the horror, and like everything that connects us so deep is like a part of art. That's the stuff that we love.
Right. Obviously, I think art is important because I have a whole podcast about it.
That, and we've been doing it for thousands of years. Like, it's a part of being a human, is making art.
Exactly. So, where can people find you and your work?
Well, I have a Bandcamp, and it's luluwood.bandcamp.com.
I know. I'm so excited that you have a Bandcamp now.
I know. I got it. I literally just made it for this podcast. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to make a Bandcamp. So I have some songs up there, and I'm going to put some more up there, and they're rough demos of things that I've been making recently. And then I have an Instagram, and that's at Lulu Bell. That's LULUBELLE 2021.
I can also link to all these things on findcreativeexpression.com. I will also link to the artist and musicians you were talking about, so people can go check those out. Yeah.
Well, that's exciting.
Supporting all the artists.
Yeah, go check out the things that I love. You're going to love them too.
I agree. Well, yeah, thanks for coming in and chatting with me on the Find Creative Expression podcast. It was really helpful for me to chat with you because you're always so positive and so supportive, and I've been having kind of not a rough week, but I've been kind of struggling with being the balance between having a day job and being a writer, and it's all a little overwhelming at times. So it was really good for me to just kind of chat about art for a little bit with my friend Lulu.
It was awesome. And you're gonna get through it. You'll figure it out. There's always that balance of life and art, and sometimes one is more important than the other.
Right, exactly.
Well, this was fun. I love talking to you always.
So that was a lot of fun talking to Lulu. I hope you guys found it helpful or inspirational as well. On episode 5, I'm going to be talking to author, coach, speaker, songwriter Brian Perry. He is always a huge inspiration, so you definitely want to check that out. And thanks so much for listening. I will see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening to the Find Creative Expression podcast. Please take a moment to leave us a review on your favorite podcasting platform. You can find me on Instagram at Sarah E. Crawford or youtube.com/Sarah Crawford. Also find me on Patreon at patreon.com/Sarah Crawford to support the podcast for just $1 a month. And that's Sarah, S-A-R-A, without an H. I hope you've been inspired today, and I'll see you in 2 weeks for the next podcast.